MVP.
It's one in the air, left center field, back it goes. Harper, the swing of his life.
You never get ahead of yourself. As Harris down the field,
I know Rennies do every day. It's always been that way for me. Always been a get better mentality every day, grow every day, be a better leader every day, be a better quarterback every day. And when that wrench do, I don't plan on missing no payments. So.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 3 in the Keystone, episode 87. Myself, Al Ryan. Chris Guest will be along shortly. He's on baby duty at the moment.
Tardy unexcused. That's what we call it in the teaching biz, Adam.
That's why we were on Chris Guest time the entire high school career, if you remember. Anytime you had to pick him up, you wait outside his apartment at least 10 minutes.
That's also some other time, but
yeah, we're going to keep it politically correct here. Al, back from we gave you an excused absence last week. I hope you took that what it was worth there. How was the trip to New Orleans?
Yeah, I appreciate it. The voice is back, as you can hear. We'll see if it stands up for the entire podcast. The trip was fantastic. I had a blast. It was for my brother-in-law, Dan, friend of the pod, former guest of the pod. The MVP of the weekend, Adam, was the weather. We had 70s and sunny all weekend, which just led to the most immaculate of vibes. We spent the day just out and about on Bourbon Street. I spent probably upwards of $100 on touch tunes at a couple of the bars that we were at. But it was a very fun time. The food was great. The music was great. And once again, the company was great, which when you got those three things, you got a fantastic trip no matter where you are.
Now, I saw on your Instagram that the bachelorette party was this weekend and your wife was also in New Orleans. So it's kind of a advantage for her that she could see how hard you went the week before and then respond as needed.
And what I did was I left a little Easter egg for her. I took my shirt off at one of the bars that we were at, and I left it in the bathroom. And so I left it there to see if she could find it, but she did not find it. So actually what happened was the bachelorette planned that trip first, and we kind of stole the idea, because the original plan that we wanted to do was the bachelor Dan wanted to go to Savannah, South Carolina.
Georgia.
Georgia. Yeah, I'm sorry, Georgia.
I mean, it's only like 20 minutes from South Carolina. It's right there.
Yeah, but that fell through for whatever reason. And, this was the third time I've been in New Orleans. So I was like, I've been there, done that. But this was probably my favorite of the three. And the first time I went was for my own bachelor party. So it's saying a lot, I feel like.
Yeah, I've only been for a very short time. It's kind of dirty and dingy. I actually like Savannah a lot. I've been to Savannah.
It's filthy.
It's a good time.
New Orleans dirtbag, filthy.
It's nasty.
But I will say this also. I was more tired after this past weekend being home by myself with my kids than I was last weekend. I would say tenfold.
There's nothing like watching the kids, and my kid ain't even moving yet.
Yeah, just wait.
Yeah. Chris, welcome aboard.
What's up, guys?
We got to do our dedication, episode 87, and there's a lot of options. Yeah. But it just felt right tying it into segment 1 that we give it to a Kelce and go Travis Kelce. Don't love it, but it just felt like it had to be that guy tonight.
You didn't want to go Joe Jaravicious or Kenyon Rambo or Kachu Marcus Robinson.
You forgot Todd Stinkston.
You're going to go Brent Selleck.
Or Gronk.
Joe Horn.
What about
they're coming out?
I mean, if Al's dropping Philadelphia rivals like Joe Jaravicious, we go Sid Crosby if you want.
There you go. It's another one.
Big seltzer guy, Muhsin Muhammad.
Yeah, I think you were a Muhammad guy.
No, I think Diversa was.
Yeah, I was not.
Diversa definitely was.
All right. One last thing before we get going in tonight. Again, our partnership with the Sunshine Sandwich Shop at 5154 Ridge Ave in Manio, cold and hot sandwiches, specials every month. Just got finished the Po' Boys in February. I'll have to check in. I haven't seen any special announcements for March yet, but make sure if you're down in the Roxborough area to check out the Sunshine Sandwich Shop. All right, gents.
Dan Gronkowski also adorned the 87.
Dan Gronkowski.
That's
It's
the
his
family
brother.
number.
It's his brother.
All right, gents. We got some bad news in the Philadelphia area yesterday, although the good news is it saved us from talking about the Sixers for another week. As you all know by now, Jason Kelce has retired. 13 years as an Eagle, didn't miss a game over his last 9 seasons, 6-time All-Pro. Mount Rushmore Eagle, agreed?
Yes.
100%?
Yes.
I just want to talk about, first of all, the speech and the ceremony. I know you guys are teachers. I don't know if you got a chance to log in and watch it. But did you have any just observations or reactions just based on the speech as a whole?
The guy gets it. He gets it. It's arguable as to whether or not he's going to go down as the most beloved athlete of all time in Philadelphia history. But I don't think it's arguable that there's any athlete that has ever appreciated playing in this city so much and understood what it means to play in this city. I don't think you could put anybody above Jason Kelce in terms of that.
I don't know, man. AI has been right there too as far as getting it.
But AI got it afterwards. AI
Yes.
didn't get it while he was here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, Kelce got it the whole time.
And I think part of that is like his story because he's a 6th-round pick. He's
Mhm.
not expected, even he's a walk-on at college. He doesn't expect it to do all these things. And he becomes this hardworking, which is what the Philadelphia media and the fans love, is that up-and-coming underdog story. You know, he's an offensive lineman. He's doing the dirty work in the trenches. He's undersized. But then, like you said, Al, like he's down the shore. He's visible. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always shaking hands. He's always working hard. And I think that the city that's what the city loves. And he was able to do all of those things and become that, that hero that a lot of these people wanted him to be.
Yeah, I love the fact that he also went from the very beginning of his football life and then, ended it obviously culminating with the end of his season last year and everything in between. Like you said, Seltzer, with us being teachers, one of the goals I think for all teachers is to be a presence in a student's life that they can remember and say, Mr. Guest told me to do this, or Mr. Ryan said this. And so for Kelce to go out there and still remember, all those coaches and their names and what they did and all that kind of stuff, and shout them out in the biggest moment of one of the biggest moments of his life, I thought was really cool, because not only does that show he gets it, but it also shows his being humble and his gratitude to everyone that's got him there. And I think that also makes him so beloved, because again, as Philadelphians, we have to earn everything we get. And, it's a blue collar town, obviously. And for him to do that kind of stuff, playing a blue collar position on top of that, he wasn't playing a pretty sexy position, the center. And I'll say this too. The other day I was watching him on something, I forget what it was on TV, what show it was. And he was like, dude, I just snapped the ball. Like that's my job. So he doesn't even take himself too seriously, which I think is also what makes him so endearing. So I thought the whole thing was great. But I will say Bryce Harper's probably like, hold my beer, wait till I get up there in 2040, whenever the hell he retires. Because he might be extension. He might rival it, I think.
There's something endearing though to the city about the everyman, the guy that you watch and you think, I could have a beer with that guy. I can sit down and that guy could be in my fantasy football league. And Bryce Harper doesn't have that quality that Jason Kelce has that quality.
Oh, yeah. Well, but plus Kelce's he's a blue guy. Kelce really is. Cleveland and Philly are very similar in terms of their, the people that are from those towns. Like I said, they're blue collar, they're hardworking. We talked before off air, Seltzer. I think I mentioned to you about how at one point those guys, him and his brother Travis, both feel like Roxborough dudes to me. Like I could see, I've known them my whole life, and that's the thing. Not personally, but I've known people just like them, and that's
big time.
Yeah, and that's a thing that people can relate to here. Is like I've known these, like we all know these guys because we know a guy that's a neighbor or a classmate or a best friend or whatever who's just like them.
Yeah. And I personally didn't see him, but Jason Kelce goes with his family to the St. Denis Fair every year with the girls, with his wife, and he gets mobbed, and he doesn't turn anyone away. Takes every picture, signs every autograph, shakes every hand, and he's there with his family, just trying to enjoy his time, as a dad and as a husband. And the dude knows it's going to happen, and he still embraces it, and he still gets it. It's just like, I know, like right now, it's recency bias a little bit, but again, I don't think anybody gets what it's like to play here more than him.
Yeah, I'll even tell like a quick personal story. I didn't really want to do this, but I will. But I had the opportunity to go down to the Polar Bear Plunge in Sea Isle with him in 2014. So this is really before he was known, but he wasn't who he is now. And we pre-gamed at La Costa, all that stuff. And basically when we walked in the OD, it was like, we'll see you later, Jason, because he was just going to walk in there just to get mobbed by every single dude in there. And it was just, that was the way it was. And he was fine with it. He knew it came with the territory. And that's what kind of, like you said, made him just that endearing personality, is how accepting he was and how it almost seemed like he was gracious to be a star. And he felt like he owed it back to the people.
Yeah. You can tell he knows how lucky he is. And I don't mean that in a negative way. He's worked his ass off.
Yeah, he wasn't, he'd be the first person probably to tell you he wasn't meant to be here in this position. And so for him to make it this far and get to where he's gotten and achieve what he's achieved, everything's house money for him.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, Seltzer, too. You were saying about a sad day. Honestly, I'm glad the guy retired, not because I want to see him off the field, but if you watch the documentary, like, that dude shot. I mean, physically shot. And for him, like, you'd hate to see a guy like him that's so charismatic and down to earth and chill and such a good person be just a shell in 5, 10, 15 years from, what football would do to them. And it may have paid, taken its toll. And again, he knows that. He knows that it may have taken years off his life. But I think that he's like, enough is enough with it. And
so go ahead, finish up.
No, I was gonna say. So I think honestly, like, I'm happy for him that he did it. I wish that we as a team and an organization could have performed better at the end for him to go out with a legitimate game instead of going out with that BS that he had to go out with. And Fletcher too, because I think Fletcher's getting lost in this a little bit because, obviously he hasn't announced it officially the same way, and it's been rumored, but I mean, he's an Eagle legend as well. And like those guys, for them to have to go out this way, it sucks. But at the same time, from them as men, I'm happy for them. I don't feel anything sad about it at all. I think it's the best thing, and he has so much ahead of him that he can go into now.
So I wanted to add, I agree with you, but I also disagree a little bit. One of my observations I made between the lines was I do think he has a really good head on his shoulders. And I think, Chris, what you were saying is he's thinking about all these hits and blocks that are going to add up over time. And 15 years from now, who knows what his body or his brain, as we've seen with some of the CTE stuff, is going to become. And I think he's aware of that, and he's a family man. And I think that weighed a lot on this decision. But if I looked at him yesterday, I still think he has football left in him.
Oh, no, that's not the question. We all know he could. And I think that's part of the great thing about when he retired is he wasn't a guy who retired when the game told him he had to retire. He retired on his own terms and on his own 2 feet. And I think that that's to be commended because a lot of these guys don't know when to say when.
What makes it easier for us as fans, too, is he won one. He's not Barry Sanders. He's not Calvin Johnson walking away with still, as you said, years left. He's got mileage left. He walked away. He was at the top of his sport. He was at the top of his profession.
And he probably walks away. If they beat Kansas City, he probably walks away then, I think.
Absolutely. And nobody could blame him.
Yeah.
Is he the best center of all time?
He's up there.
I don't think I could put him at number one. I mean, he's probably a top 5.
Jeff Saturday, right?
I don't even know.
Monty Dawson.
Matt Burke, the big boy from Harvard.
I would think Mawai's up there, I think.
Mawai.
I think there's a couple old
he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I heard I heard some old school names get tossed around recently. I don't remember them, but
I forget the guy. Yeah, one of the guys from Pittsburgh from back in the day was up there.
Dermontti Dawson.
Yeah.
I think it's extreme. It's almost impossible to compare centers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's stats.
Yeah.
And no one knows anything about them. Like, was Kevin Mawai a great pass blocker or a great pull guy? Who the hell knows?
Chris, I snapped the ball.
Yeah.
It's an underrated rough position, and a lot of those guys that play O-line do have a lot of issues after the fact when they hang it up. So I mean, it's literally you. I mean, you're in that crouch in that stance as a 2-point or a 3-point stance every single time, which is going to be hard on your back, hard on your knees, hard on your legs. Then you're going to get hit from guys in Kelce's case that are always bigger than he is.
Yeah.
And then having that to deal with the wear and tear of your body from the impact and trying to get leverage and all that kind of stuff. It's a hell of a gig, man. I mean, it's not rewarding. It's not fulfilling. No one's going to be Kelce's situation as a center where we're so grateful for him is so rare because most of the time a center is a position that's very thankless, especially for fans, players and teammates, maybe not, but for the fans of teams, it's a very thankless position. So that shows you how special he is.
Fans of most teams, not of the Eagles. I feel like we're a fan base that appreciates the dogs, the guys in the trenches.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Overall, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think top to bottom, I think when you talk about football and positions, and if you ask a guy in San Diego, name top 10 football players that you have of all time that you've seen, I would venture to guess none of them are going to say centers.
Yeah.
Let alone no linemen, maybe not even.
To your point, Chris, for him to become as popular as he became nationally at the center position is unheard of.
Yeah, that's my
Between
point.
His podcast and the commercials and the documentary and all that.
I think that I know the money's going to be there for him regardless of what he wants to do. But from what I've seen with him in the last few months since we've lost in Tampa and what he's been doing out there with all the stupid things with like him getting on there without the shirt at the game, and today seeing that clip of him jumping onto the fire and all that, he needs his own show.
He might get it.
Yeah, he needs to.
Works.
I think he could be like, and I'm not saying something to the effect of like how Anthony Bourdain would always travel and just do like. I mean, he was more based on like culinary stuff. So I'm not saying that Kelce would do like the food thing necessarily, but he could definitely do something along those lines where he goes to different places or neighborhoods, communities around the country, does whatever. Like I think that could be an underrated, really cool niche for him that would still get him paid. He's still getting the bag for it. And I would like seeing it, and same with, or maybe even with him and Travis together doing something when Travis is done. Like I would watch that.
I mean, there'll be plenty of opportunities for them. I had one other observation that I want to use to transition to my next point about the Kelce situation. The speech was like 40 minutes, give or take, around there. And here's some things I did not hear. I didn't hear Jalen Hurts' name mentioned one time. I didn't hear any shout out to any players on the current team with the exception of the OGs who's been around for years. I don't think I heard Sirianni's name mentioned, if just in passing. And all I heard from
he made a whole segment on Sirianni.
He said him in passing.
No, he did not.
Okay.
He had a whole part about how he loved to play for Sirianni.
Okay. I may have missed that part.
Yeah, he had a whole part on that.
And the only other thing was he mentioned the collapse from last year. So I don't think that he's leaving thinking that this team has got much moving forward. So my question is transitioning is the Jason Kelce retirement going to affect this team more on the field or in the locker room?
Well, he actually did say that stuff. He did say about when he talked about Howie Roseman, how he and some of the other guys looking forward to seeing the flowers bloom or whatever the official quote he was, kind of playing off of the whole joke when Sirianni came here with the whole planting the flowers thing. He did say that he thought that there was potential still for the team to get better sooner than later. But he didn't mention Donovan McNabb. He didn't
snap for Donovan.
Wasn't he here for his. Oh no, you're right. He wasn't. You're right. Well, he didn't mention any other quarterbacks. He mentioned Wentz. That was it.
He talked about Wentz and Foles.
That was because Wentz won a Super Bowl, or Foles won a Super Bowl. But I mean, like he didn't.
He only snapped for 4, maybe 5.
Yeah. I could have. Wait a minute.
He had Vic, Bradford, and then Wentz.
Yeah, he didn't mention Brad.
He didn't mention Bradford.
No, but I'm sorry because I feel like he played again because we're so used to having. I feel like he played longer than he did.
That was
Fraley. He played with.
Fraley probably mentioned those guys. We just didn't see his.
Yeah, Bubba Miller, he might have did it. I thought he played with 5. That's my mistake then because I'm used to. I thought he was longer than what he was. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, my point was I'll jump in real quick. I think it affects the Eagles more on the field and the reason I say that is because of this past season where leadership seemed to be a key problem, something that was missing from this team. And nothing about anyone's leadership helped this team avoid the disaster that was the end of that season. Whereas he's the only center in the league potentially that can lead the tush push the way he does. And now we move Cam Jurgens to center, which weakens the center position because he's not as good as Kelce. And now we have a Sua Opeta or a Tyler Steen who's going to be operating at the right guard position who might not be as good as Cam Jurgens was. So I think on the field, it's a much bigger blow than off the field.
I think Steen gets that job personally, but I mean, at least he'll get the chance to get it. I don't know if he'll win it or not. Do you think there's a chance? Because I mean, I don't know. Dickerson played some center also in college, and I wonder if they would potentially. But the only thing with that is if they did that, then they have to move Jurgens to the other side, which might be a little bit more problematic. So they probably would have Jurgens as the replacement, I guess.
I wouldn't be surprised. Listen, this team has a lot of holes, and we'll get into it before the draft and after free agency. I wouldn't be surprised if they drafted an offensive tackle who they would hope could play at guard initially and then eventually bump him out once Lane goes early on. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a move like that.
Well, Guyton from Oklahoma, the top tackle there is a protege of Lane Johnson's, and I could see him going to bat for him just like Kelce went to bat for Jurgens in that draft. So we'll see. I'm okay with that. If that's the route they want to go, I'm okay with it. O-lineman, honestly. There's, like you said, they got a lot of ways, a lot of directions they can go for that pick.
Absolutely. All right, there's something else we want to talk about for segment one, so I'll close with this. Where does he rank among your all-time Eagles? So obviously the obvious names that come up are Brian Dawkins, Reggie White, but outside of those two, like he's in the conversation, and he's probably, I mean, I think Dawk still probably got him beat by a little bit, but it's not by much.
Are we talking about based on achievements or based on a fan appreciation?
No, I think like probably a combination of both.
It's tough because as we said, he's a center, and how do you compare a center to a safety or a center to a defensive end? It's really hard to do.
Right.
If you're talking most loved, I do think he's going to end up in history going down as number one. I think he's going to supplant Brian Dawkins in that sense. But as far as on the field, I can't put him above either of those two. I probably can't even put him above, like, I hate to say it, like McNabb.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think if you're just talking about on the field, I don't think he can, even though he's going to be a Hall of Famer, I don't think he's a guaranteed top 4 Eagle of all time. But like you said, I think when you combine them, and I think you talk about most loved as Eagles, he's definitely top 5 in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I was thinking about McNabb too. Like the most important position, obviously, on the team is the quarterback, and McNabb was. I don't even think it's debatable at this point that he was the greatest Eagles quarterback of all time. Yeah. Only thing he didn't do was win a Super Bowl. He pretty much did everything else. So he's got to be there.
Yeah, and let's not say this to deteriorate the things that Kelce did on the field. Again, 6 times All-Pro.
He'd be the first one to say the same thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just making sure that we're giving him his credit for not just being this lovable guy, but also the achievements he
was an awesome, fantastic player.
So let's just say most loved. Al, you have it number 1 eventually, right? Chris, do you think he goes down as more loved than Brian Dawkins when it's all said and done?
Yeah, because he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and that speech carries weight, man.
That speech does carry weight.
And Dawkins would have been epic also, but in a different way. But Dawkins just couldn't get to that. That team couldn't get to the mountaintop. So Kelce's team did. He got that moment, and I think that would put him over the top in terms of comparing those two.
And the other thing he has going for him is he's just a very good storyteller. Like when he told that story at that speech, he had everybody's ears, and there was never a boring moment. And even yesterday, it was 40 minutes, but I could have listened for another 40 minutes.
I would have loved to. I mean, I think he could be a coach. Like I would have, if I was a player, I'd love to play for a guy like him with his energy and his insight and his inspiration that he gives them. And I'll say this too, for as awesome as that moment was with him, shame on Darius Slay and Steven Nelson for all that crap that they were saying the day before when this guy just got up there and was like, basically, without saying names, like, if you can't handle it here, then don't be here. Shut up, do your job, and you'll be loved just like me and anyone else that's loved in this city. And if you can't handle it, don't be here. And I think that's how the majority of the fans feel.
Darius Slay and his wife want to be loved so bad.
Oh, yeah.
So bad, dude. Like, I mean, and look,
all the time.
She's always giving away tickets and whatnot.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder, is it for the right reasons, or is it because she wants to be loved?
And they might be genuinely good people. No one, I don't know. I mean, obviously, we don't know them personally. Right. But at the same time, like, I just, this generation, like, if you know, we talk about, and the talking heads on the networks talk about, you know, who was the leaders in this locker room and who's to blame and all this stuff. If those young guys turned a deaf ear to guys like Jason Kelce and Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox and Lane John, there was a story about how some of the guys were pissed off that they thought that Kelce and Lane were not treated the same. Hell no, they're not treated the same as you. They're champions. You're not. They're made dudes. You're not. So they should not be treated the same. It's not always about, it's about equity, right? And what you're putting into it is what you get out. And you have not put in the work and the blood, sweat, and tears and got out of it what they have. So no, they're not treated the same.
And I don't know what young guys you're talking about, Chris, but I wonder if it's some of those guys from the SEC, from the blue blood schools, the Alabamas and the Georgias, who are used to having their asses kissed everywhere they go and the ground they walk on worship. That's you know, a tough reality for those guys. I don't know if you're ready to close, Adam. I wanted to ask you guys this question. I'll give you a second to think about it. When you look at the landscape of the 4 teams in the city right now, is there a player that you think could potentially rise to become the next Jason Kelce, in the sense of a guy who is wasn't drafted at a high pick, wasn't expected much of, and goes on to work his ass off, become a multiple-time All-Pro at their, in their sport, and become a leader and a community person, somebody who's out there, somebody ends up becoming potentially a top 5 most beloved athlete in the city? Is there a guy that you think could be that next guy?
I mean, the obvious answer when first thing is Tyrese.
Yeah.
Bryce obviously. Yeah. Bryce comes to mind too, but I think he's a little too much pedigree for what you're asking.
Well, yeah, I was saying because he was, right.
And so I think it's Tyrese. He has the personality to do it. He has the lower round draft pick, 21st, 22nd overall, whatever he was at the time. And he's got he seems to have the attitude to do it. It's just a matter of, the Sixers team trying to put it all together, which it's going to take a championship, which I don't know if he's going to get.
I agree, Seltzer. And again, with Maxey, he's put in the work and we can see it. We see the effects of that. We see how this guy was, what was he, 20th pick, 21st pick
22nd
in the draft. And he came into the league, wasn't a great shooter, wasn't really great off the dribble. He was fast. He always wasn't a good defender. He's now become that, from learning from Harden. The best thing Harden may have done here is teach Tyrese that step back to make it as fluent as it is and as consistent as it is. He's a totally different player. If you watch him play his rookie year and now, he's night and day better. And he's going to only continue to get better. And he's got an awesome persona. He loves his city. The city loves him. Definitely think he's the answer for that.
Yeah. All right. There was not only Jason Kelce news yesterday. There was also some Philadelphia Phillies news yesterday that we want to talk about here in segment 1. Zach Wheeler, 3-year extension, $126 million. It's $42 million per year if you want to do the math. We'll keep him in Philadelphia through 2027. He'll either be 36 or 37, depending on when his birthday was. I didn't get a chance to look all that up when the contract expires. As far as average annual value, only Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander are the only 2 pitchers in the big leagues that make more, assuming that I'm taking out Shohei Ohtani since he's a combo guy, and they're both at $43.3 million. Initial thoughts on the deal? Good deal for Wheeler, good deal for the Phillies, good deal for both. Al, what do you think?
Good deal for both. You guys know where I stand when it comes to money in Major League Baseball. It's all fake. It's all pretend money. So it's all about the years. 3 years, I think that's the perfect amount of time for Zach Wheeler, where he's at with his age. He's still a top 10 pitcher in baseball. He's still a top 5 pitcher in the postseason at minimum. And you still need a dominant 1-2 at the top of your rotation, which he gives you alongside Aaron Nola. His ERA was up a touch last season, but if you look at his numbers over the course of the season, he did settle down and play much better in the second half. If you remember, we had a lot of concerns about the pitch clock being in those guys' heads in the beginning of the season. So I think he's fine. His whip, his Ks were consistent with his career numbers. I love Zach Wheeler. You guys, I've defended before that I think he's the best contract that the Phillies have signed in the last decade. Right
the
up
Phillies, he might be the best contract, period.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm saying that right up there with
Yeah.
the Bryce Harper signing. I mean, he is just an irreplaceable piece to this team if they want to make a championship run. So I love the deal. I think it's great for both sides.
I mean, what was a better contract / bargain than his original? What was it, 5 years for 118 that they gave him originally in 2019?
You're forgetting Montrezl Harrell last year.
Oh yeah,
that minimum.
Like, I mean, he was an absolute Foreman Mills level bargain. And so even with this extension, I think it's great. I think it's, like Al said, the years is fine. His age matches that well. The guy still gets a chance. Some people were like, well, why would he just, why would he want a 3-year deal instead of, he could have probably got longer. This and that. He probably wants to test out another round of free agency, get another bag. I don't blame him for that, because he's at that point, he'd be 36. He'd still be very capable of being still in his prime. In baseball, obviously, they can go a little bit longer than some of the other sports. And I think that it also gives him flexibility that, who knows, if he might be one of those guys that's like, I don't want to play past a certain age. If he wants to hang up at 36, he can hang up at 36. That's his call. But that contract and the value of it, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, baseball money is just monopoly. I mean, it's nothing. It ain't our money. When people are like, well, I don't know if I pay this guy. Who cares? There's not a cap. We're not paying the guy out of our pocket. Whatever they want to do is what they want to do. And you got to keep guys like this in order to be contenders long term. He's a winner. You keep him and Nola together. I think Nola's going to have a huge year this year, now that he's got that off his mind with the contract on his contract. And I think Wheeler's the same. I think they both have big years in store for themselves. And I'm looking forward to seeing them, and I'm glad that they're going to be Phillies for the next several years.
Yeah, shout out to John Middleton, too, who's at least willing to spend the money. There was a rumor that went out that we didn't get a chance to touch on a few weeks ago that they actually had the highest bid for Yamamoto, that they didn't get him, and he's reinvesting in Zach Wheeler. And, I think you guys said it best. I thought it was a fair deal for all sides. I think average annual is probably a little bit pricey, but it'll go down over the next few years when some other pitchers sign. And when you're taking a discount for the years, like you mentioned, Al, you're going to pay a little bit more dollars. So no problem. And you know what? I listed it on our sheet here. How many pitchers would you take above Zach Wheeler in baseball right now? And when you include the postseason and the way he's pitched, I only have 2 pitchers I'd take before him at this point in time. And that's Garrett Cole and Spencer Strider. Those are the only 2 arms that I would take above.
I wouldn't even take Spencer Strider because of the postseason.
Yeah,
Spencer Strider's numbers in the postseason last year were still good.
That dude is the comments about him wanting to go back to COVID and not having fans in the seats.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Damning. I would never want a guy like that on my team, dude. That's like the Sidney Crosby of baseball in my eyes.
I would take him over Zach. I mean, his numbers are insane.
I think also
you'd rather have Jimmy Butler or Joel Embiid is what you're saying.
Dude, Spencer Strider last year, he played 2 starts against the Phillies. He had a 2.84 ERA. It's not like he pitched bad in those 2 games.
Did he beat the Phillies in the postseason?
They didn't score.
Exactly, dude.
They didn't score.
Listen, I think first of all, Wheeler. Jason Stark was saying this the other day. Wheeler's statistically, based on, I think it was players that have had a minimum of 10 starts in the postseason, he's actually the best pitcher statistically in Major League history in the postseason. I have to pull up what his actual ERA and WHIP is, but he was saying how he's actually number 1 historically, which surprised the hell out of me.
2.42 ERA, 0.72 WHIP. I think your numbers you're looking at are probably based on WHIP. As far as the best of all time. So I think he
was saying it statistically. I don't know if they put together other combos of other statistics as well, but he was saying that he was statistically the greatest postseason pitcher to this point statistically. But based on players with minimum of 10 starts. But he's another guy. He's a blue collar dude. He puts his head down. He works. He doesn't have anything to say negative. He doesn't have anything to say that's controversial. He doesn't have anything, he does things the right way. And you take care of us, we take care of you. That's how it works around here.
Yeah, Garrett Cole's the only guy I would take over him, and maybe Ranger
Otani?
Suarez, but we already have him.
Maybe Montrezl Harrell too.
Bargain basement shopping, baby. All right, that'll close
Also,
it up.
that real quick, Seltzer. His contract. I'm sorry. Baseball contracts, with the way it works with inflation and everything else, every year you get the contract is always going to be like, for someone like that, is always going to be a bargain, because the next year, the next guy that's up is going to get even more.
Yeah.
So he's always going to be a bargain. Harper was a ridiculous, but he's still a ridiculous bargain.
Right. Yeah.
And for instance, like Corbin Burns will be a free agent next year. Is going to get more than Zach Wheeler.
Sure.
No question. All right, that'll do it for segment one. We'll have some more Phillies talk over the next couple of weeks. We still have a full preview to do for the, I want to say defending NL champs, but we're not the defending NL. Should be defending NL champs. But I want to jump into segment two, as we mentioned, the off season. The NFL off season is prepared to kick off next week in free agency. And as of usual, there's always going to be a QB carousel. So I thought it would be good to put some predictions as far as where these quarterbacks you think we're going to land. So I gave you guys a list, and I gave you 7. And I'm curious, here are the names that are out there as far as moving. And if you have any other ones we want to talk about, we can talk about it. Kirk Cousins, unrestricted free agent. Justin Fields on the trade block. Russell Wilson just was released, probably solidifying the worst trade in sports history. For the Denver Broncos there, as they eat $80 million in dead money. Baker Mayfield, free agent. And then the 3 big prospects in the draft, Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jaden Daniels. Chris, I'll throw it to you. Who do you want to start with? Give us a guy, and then we'll discuss.
Start with your boy, Chris. Go ahead. Do it. Pull the trigger.
Which one?
Which one?
Oh.
Who? Oh, Fields? Your boy?
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to D.C.
You think they're going to pass up on a draft pick?
Yeah, I think the Commanders. I think that they do some business with Chicago. I could see that happening. I could see Josh Harris making a big splash and getting the quarterback.
If you're Washington, though, why would you trade for Justin Fields, who you're about to have to pay, rather than just drafting one of these guys in the top 3?
Well, I think Fields is the devil that you know, and I think that look, we all know how I like the guy. I think that he's a good. I think in the right situation. Now, who knows? We're used to the Commanders not being the right situation for anybody, but with new ownership and the new mindset, new coach, all kind of things, who knows? Maybe they turn things around. They might want to have a little bit of an expedited process as far as getting better faster with the guy like Fields than with a chance with Caleb Williams or Drake May or any of those other guys. So I'll take a little stab at it, see what happens.
That's different. Al, where do you have Fields going?
Well, I was just trying to look up some teams in the Arena Football League that's coming back in 2024, but they haven't announced any teams yet. So I'll go ahead and just say he's going to be out of the league. I think that the league is onto this guy. And
are you serious?
You don't think?
Are you serious? He's kidding. Come on.
He's gonna be starring in a new TV show. It's gonna be the remake of Bosom Buddies with Jason Kelce. Listen, my serious answer, I got him going to Vegas, because Vegas, the Raiders franchise, is the land of misfit toys, and it's where careers go to fade away and die, and that's what needs to happen with Justin Fields. Guys, I was reading an article today that said if he was in this year's draft, where he would rank among the quarterback prospects, and there were execs and different scouts saying he wouldn't even be in the top 5.
Whoa. That's not fair, because this is an exceptional class. This is an exceptional.
Well, so he should try being an exceptional quarterback then.
But that's a little unfair. I don't know if I would go with that.
I don't know what to tell you. You're telling me he's not better than Drake May?
We don't know.
With a kid from Michigan? I mean, come on, dude.
Well, McCarthy's probably the fourth or fifth quarterback in that class.
Well, and that's what they said Fields would be.
No, man, there's no way that J.J. McCarthy is better than or will be better than Justin Fields. I'll put a stack on that right now.
Right, dude. All I can tell you is what I read today, and it said he would be outside of the top 5 of this draft class.
That I will shave my body for, if you want to put that up. That I will be comfortable to do that on air.
How can you say you never said it a first time when you just said it a second time?
No, that I don't remember saying it the first time.
Got to go back to the archives.
Selective amnesia.
Yeah. All right. I have Atlanta. I think where there's smoke, there's fire. They've been the team that's been rumored to be most after him. I looked at Vegas as well, but I just think that Atlanta's going to find themselves thinking that they have the turf, and the turf's going to, make them faster, and they're going to put this team out there with him and Bijan and London and Pitts, and it's going to spark them. But I get out. I just don't know if he's the guy.
I think Arthur Blank has to be smarter than that, though. Like he's been there, done that. Can we talk about Atlanta next? Because I'll tell you the guy who I got going to Atlanta.
All right, hit me.
And it's the smoke and fire. I think it's Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta. You talk about a veteran quarterback who's still a guy that I think has plenty left in the tank, even though I think we had him in like tier 8 of the quarterbacks heading into last season. I didn't put him there. I can't remember who did. But you got talent there, man. Listen, look, if Kyle Pitts is going to work out, if Drake London's going to work out, if Bijan Robinson's going to work out, Kirk Cousins is the guy that can do it. I mean, he's obviously teamed up with stars in Minnesota. You talk about the Dalvin Cooks and the Justin Jeffersons. I just think that Kirk Cousins goes to Atlanta. They need a proven veteran down there.
So I've reversed, and I thought about Cousins in Atlanta too, because I think he's like a Band-Aid and until they figure out what they want. But I have Cousins in Vegas. And that's a team that I thought came on at the end of the year, especially defensively, playing hard under Antonio Pierce, but we're just a quarterback away. They have some weapons on the outside. Devontae Adams is probably going to be looking for a veteran quarterback to play with. So I have Cousins in Vegas. So I have those two flipped compared to what you have.
Are we talking about Cousins or are we talking about the Falcons?
The Falcons. Who do you have going to Atlanta?
I have going to Atlanta. I have Russell Wilson going to Atlanta.
Ooh.
I have that connection with, first of all, they obviously care more about trying to fill those seats in Atlanta. Good luck with that because it's a college town. But they care more about that, obviously, by trying to interview a guy like Bill Belichick to be their head coach when no one else was interested anymore in that ride. And I think Russell Wilson's a lot of the same with that. I think that Sierra, obviously, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is from the Atlanta area. Gives her a chance to go back home, and Russell gets to play in a market where there's not a lot of pressure. And I think that if you look at his second half of the year, he didn't have a bad year last year. The Denver Broncos in the beginning of the year, that first 5 or 6 weeks or so was abysmal. But after that, they figured it out, and his year was not bad at all. So I don't think he's washed. I think he can still play in the right circumstance. And I feel like that would be a decent fit for him. Atlanta's picking, I think, 8th in the draft, if I remember correctly from seeing it earlier. So they're just on the fringe of being able to possibly draft maybe the 4th or 5th ranked quarterback. They're not going to get one of the top 3 unless they trade up. And I think that I don't know what their assets look like right now, but as far as picking up a guy not having to lose assets via trade, Russell's the answer.
I don't think Russell's going to get a starting job in this league. More on him in a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I'll go with you with that, because there's a lot to talk about with that.
Yeah. All right, so we did Atlanta and we did Vegas. Or I'm sorry, I got lost here a little bit.
Well, we switched it up. We switched it up.
Yeah, we did Atlanta.
Just do Russ next. You do Russ.
So you're them there. I don't think Russell Wilson's going to get a starting job in this league. I think there's a lot of baggage that comes with him from an off the field perspective. His teammates don't seem to like him, and that's been a recurring theme from his time in Seattle to his time in Denver. He also, his on-field performance, although he was better last year, is still not necessarily worth all the hype. I have him coming to the NFC East, and I have him signing a minimum contract with the New York Giants. And I think there's an opportunity for him to get on the field in that situation if Daniel Jones is not ready for opening day, or if Daniel Jones sputters again, because I don't think the Giants are in a position to draft a quarterback where they're at this point. So I think they ride it out with Jones for one more year, especially given the contract they gave him, but have some insurance on the way if they need it with Russell Wilson.
I think Minnesota's going to get greedy, and I think they're going to sign him because Minnesota's a team that in the past has been in quarterback hell, where they've seen the Teddy Bridgewaters and the Christian Ponders and the Case Keenums walk in and out of that door, and they just had sustained success with Kirk Cousins. So whether or not Russell Wilson still has anything in him to lead a winning team, they have Justin Jefferson, and you can't waste that. I don't know who their backup is right now or who they would consider bringing in, but you cannot piss off Justin Jefferson and potentially have the best wide receiver in the NFL leave because you're trotting out the next, Joe Webb, or maybe you're trotting out Nick Mullins for a season.
Do you think Russ is the answer at that point?
No, I don't. I think they think it'll be the answer just to appease the players that they have.
Got to be careful there.
Well, you could also get him pretty cheap. He's making $400 million from the Broncos over the next 10 years.
Yeah, no, that's the part of it. I just
Seltzer. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
What planet do you think Russell Wilson, who's a former MVP and Super Bowl champion, is going to play behind Daniel Jones in New York City, of all places? Why would you do that if you're him?
Because first, I don't think there's going to be a starter's market for him out there. So B, at that point, why would I not go to an opportunity to be a backup where I think I have the opportunity to see the field and play in a major market at that point? That's the thought process there.
I don't think I think pride would. I mean, there's no way if I'm him, I'm playing behind Daniel Jones.
If there's a starter's opportunity, he's taking it. But I'm saying I don't think there's going to be.
I don't think they're going to pay. I don't think they would. They can't even. They're not even going to pay Saquon. Like, they're losing guys. They're not going to go out there. Like, Russell's not going to just take the league minimum. He's
Russell
not going to do that.
He said the other day he would be willing to because of all the money he's getting from Denver.
Yeah, I'd have to see that to believe that.
Right. I mean, he's going to want more, but again, it's just a matter of what's going to be there. He doesn't have the greatest reputation.
I mean, if that's the case, then you go to a team like Vegas before you go to the Giants.
Again, if they want him, they have to want him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, if that's look, they should all any of these mediocre to bad teams that are in a bad spot to draft a quarterback should all want Russell Wilson.
Was he that good?
Who's the better free? Besides, we got Cousins, who a lot of these teams are going to be able to afford, and even if they can, only one team's going to get them. So you got him. You've got Baker Mayfield, and then who else are you looking at as far as legitimate guys that are free agents that are from the quarterback position as a QB1? You're exactly. So you're going to have to. Someone's going to have to take Russell as their second place option because, like I said, only one team can get Cousins, and Cousins isn't even that great. It's not like let's not like Cousins is a world beater. The guy won 2 games or whatever it was in primetime football in his career. Like, let's not act like he's a big winner all of a sudden. He's a better option to a lot of these teams than what they have. I agree with that, but let's keep this in perspective.
Coming off an Achilles injury.
That's true too.
And Russ has been a beacon of health. He barely misses games. I think the one team that should be in the mix for all this, but they can't because of the contract, is Arizona.
I was thinking about them also before we got on there about what they're going to do with Kyler Murray because, he's under
contract for like another 5 years or something like that.
Yeah, I think if they were in a position to draft one, they would consider it. I don't think they're going to spend any money to get a quarterback. I think they'll give Kyler another year in that system with some of those guys and see what happens.
They'll draft one of those receivers. They'll draft Harrison or the kid from Washington or one of those guys to go with Kyler and see if that resurrects him a little bit, I think, before they trade.
Yeah. All right, a couple other ones real quick. Baker Mayfield.
Tampa.
Yeah, I think he stays there.
I have that as well. And then 3 rookies. Did you guys? I'll give mine basic. I have Caleb Williams in Chicago because they're going to trade Fields. I think Washington drafts Jaden Daniels, and I think New England drafts Drake May. Those are my 3.
You think Washington takes Daniels at 2?
I do. I think they make a splashy move. You said it yourself.
But they got Drake May is like. I mean, there's some scouts that have him better than Caleb Williams. I don't know if they have an option to take Daniels or May. I don't know what planet they'd take Daniels over. Well, whatever. I'm not. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll
I mean, listen to the Commanders. You anything can happen.
Who knows? Exactly. I agree with Caleb Williams, though. I think he goes to Chicago. I think Drake. Well, actually, I want to ask you, Al, first. Where do you have those two going, May and Daniels?
I have the same thing as Adam. I have Daniels in Washington because I think Josh Harris knows he needs to put butts in seats.
Right.
And I think Daniels is more of a guy that can do that than Drake May is. I don't try. Like, I get that I can't compare Drake May to these guys just because they all went to UNC, but UNC's quarterback, it's not great with Sam Howell and Mitch Trubisky.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but this kid I've heard of for. I mean, he's been. A lot of these scouts been ready for this year for that kid for a while now. So we'll see. But again, now you're right. That university has put out some bogus. Yeah, I think he ends up in New England. I think New England is a team that's that could go after a sneaky team that can go after one of these guys. And if that's their guy and he doesn't make it to 3, I could see them maybe even trading up a pick and swapping with the Commanders too to get them. I think I could see those guys getting them. They definitely got to move on from dude. I mean, I'm not a big Mac Jones hater, but at the same time, if you can get one of these kids, they're definitely all better than Mac Jones.
Mac Jones stinks. I can't sit here and pretend that I watched Drake May in college. I did not. But from what I understand, the book on him too is that he would have been so much better if UNC didn't stink. And apparently, like UNC's O-line was garbage.
Not good. Yeah. But I think Mac Jones gets a bad rap, man. He's had a carousel of dudes coaching him. He's had one of those years he had a defensive guy coaching him. I don't know, man. I'm not a big hater of his, but again, if you can get May or even Dan, I like Daniels a lot too. I think he's got a huge size, huge upside.
You a Penix guy guest?
I love Penix. Love Penix.
Big Penix energy. Big Penix energy.
In fact, I think he could be like the next Russ Wilson.
We'll see. I'm worried. I'm worried about his body. He's got a lot of wear and tear on that body. A lot of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, he could sling it though, dude. I like him a lot.
He's a gamer too.
Yeah, he's a big time gamer.
Yeah.
So listen, we'll see how this all turns out in the NFL offseason. Always go in and listen, the Eagles have some cap money to spend, so we will see what happens next week. I believe is when it opens.
I think it's next Thursday or Wednesday.
I think it's towards the end of next week. So we will see what the Eagles end up doing in free agency with the money that they have. But now it's time to turn to segment 3, where we're going to talk some movies. So, Chris, you're the movie buff out of the 3 of us. It is Oscars week. You wanted to do an Oscars trivia segment, and me and Al bowed out respectfully with our movie knowledge. But
neither one of you want to challenge yourselves.
Hit us with one question that you have in the Oscars that you had for Oscar trivia.
All right, hold on. Let me pull it up then.
Just one.
So we could go.
I just don't think it would be entertaining for the fans of the pod to listen to Seltzer and I not know questions.
Yeah, there was two questions. Either the Oscars movie buffs would be like listening to us not get answers, or you dumb down the questions enough that the people who are Oscars fans are going to be like, these are way too easy.
Right.
Well, all right. So here's one. Name the first ever horror film to win the Best Picture.
The Shining.
I'll give you a hint.
The Shining.
The
Shining.
No, it's incorrect.
Halloween.
Yeah, you're right. You ain't ready for this, Seltzer. You ain't ready for this.
The Shining's a good guess, though. Wait,
I didn't say that with that. That was all right.
We're gonna give
my man gonna drop Halloween on an Oscar. Nah, bro.
What's the year?
1991.
Dancing with Wolves.
Horror film.
Oh, I'm trying to guess time frame.
Nightmare on Elm Street?
No, that was before that.
Aliens?
It was from the 80s, huh?
Aliens?
That was before that too.
What's the answer? Terminator?
No, that's 80s.
No, Terminator was 91, but it wasn't a horror film.
Terminator
Silence of the Lambs.
That's what I meant when I said Dances with Wolves.
Down to the list.
Dude, cut this. Strike this from the tape.
Wolves, lambs, all the
Get this
same.
out.
All right, here's one, Seltzer. You'll get this one. The actor who won back-to-back Best Actor Oscars in 1993 and 1994.
It's got to be Hanks for Forrest Gump and something else. No,
Is it Sean Penn?
Good guess. Seltzer, actually correct. It is Tom Hanks.
What was the first movie?
Forrest Gump is 1994, and it's a violation for you not to know the first movie.
Philadelphia.
Yes.
Yeah, good one. Yeah. No, it would have been a violation to not get the second one.
We live in Philadelphia.
Yeah. It's still.
What do you mean?
I still should have known it, but Forrest Gump is far and away. If you ask somebody what's Tom Hanks' biggest role, most well known, it's Forrest Gump.
So some of these movies we're about to talk about in the comedy genre, I think that Forrest Gump is a movie that like I have trouble watching today because of all the things you don't understand when you're a kid that you understand now as an adult, like how awful of a person Jenny is.
Oh yeah,
like, it ruins the movie for me.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I think Forrest Gump's an overrated movie anyway.
I do too.
Yeah,
I agree with you, guest.
Yeah,
First
Sarah
time
read
I
the
watched
book.
it,
It was one of the weirdest books she ever read.
I remember after the movie, I cried so much, and I was like scared. I did because of Jenny. Like I was in tears. I have no idea why. Bad person. You're right.
Well, speaking of crying, I'll say Philadelphia is the only movie that and mind you, I was a kid still, but even if I watch it today, only movie I've actually physically bawled watching it. How sad it was. I'm not one to really get into the tear jerkers and be like, oh, that's been. I bawled watching that movie.
I mean, I've never bawled watching. You ever watch Coco?
Yeah.
Oh, the animated movie?
Ever see the end of Coco?
No.
I cried silently.
I've never seen that because we don't have the kids doing that. Like when they start watching that stuff, I'll get to watch it.
Yeah, you'll cry at the end of it. You let me know in a couple years.
All right, but let's get back on track. We had a couple
about comedies. That Halloween peak.
90s, 2000s comedies. Do we want to do a draft, or we're going to put together a list, a combo list as a group?
No, I mean, whatever. I got like 15 deep on mine. So whatever you want to do.
Let's do it. It's going to be hard to do a list because there's going to be some movies maybe some of us haven't seen. So why don't we do it as a draft?
All right.
If we're doing it as a draft, let me pull up a draft board real quick.
All right, I'm going to pull up a draft order list. Guest, Al, Adam, randomize.
And again, for you guys and the listeners, this is, to be fair, our list of our picks for our draft for our squad. So there's no right or wrong, but Seltzer, there could be a wrong.
Mine's gonna be totally and completely subjective.
All right, so I got Al, Guest, and then me for the draft order.
Oh, perfect, great.
And there's no LeBron. This is a big. There's no LeBron in this draft.
There's a big board. So I only did 2000 to 2010. Are you guys on board with that, or did you go all the way to 2020?
No, I only did 2000, 2010.
Okay, yeah, and the 90s.
I'm already out. I thought you said 90s and 2000s.
Yeah, but I meant 2000 to 2010. If you have 2010 to 20, that's fine.
We act like everything, like we can't go back beyond like 2010 or 2000 on this.
I'm just trying to narrow the scope.
Yeah, you just gotta shrink it down, guys.
Yeah, but they're great. There's so much great things from the 90s.
No, I said 90s are good.
You said
90s.
90s are in.
All right, go ahead.
I was saying 1990 to 2010 was the range, but if you want to go 2010 to 2020, that's fine.
All right, that's fine.
All right, Al, hit us up.
All right, my number one pick. I think it's the funniest movie of all time. Superbad.
It's up there. It's a first round pick.
I love Superbad. I think it's hilarious. I want to quote. There's like so many quotes, but a lot of them I don't want to say on the pod. But just a PG one. Like the first time you saw the ID with McLovin on it, and the way they argue about how stupid the name is, it's so like, who are you, Seal? Like, dude, it's
you an Irish R&B singer.
It's so funny, man, and like just the whole movie is nonstop hit after hit after hit, like just joke after joke. There's no slow parts. I don't want to say some of the movies that I'm thinking of because they might get picked, but there were some movies that came out around that same time that were universally loved and appreciated that I thought were just so long and slow at some parts. Superbad wasn't like that. It was even in the opening credits when it's just the silhouettes of them dancing. I enjoy that. And do you know the story about the DVD version of the movie? So in the DVD version on the title screen, you know how there'd be a title screen that would be looped, like in the background while it just says like play movie, credits, that kind of thing. So they actually didn't loop it. It was Michael Cera dancing, and he danced for 2 hours straight, and they just put it on the DVD title screen. So it wasn't looped.
I sent the meme in the text thread a few weeks ago. Al, you were telling the story about running and chasing something. I don't want to get too much into detail, but when Seth Rogen is like, he's the fastest kid alive.
Fastest kid alive.
Yeah, there's so many great things about that movie. So the star power of who's in it, especially when a lot of them weren't even big yet. I mean, we have
Jonah Hill
Emma Stone in that movie, who's now an Oscar-winning actress. We have, Jonah Hill, who has done so many great things on and off camera at this point in Hollywood. Bill Hader is one of the cops, if I remember correctly.
McLovin, Christopher Mintz-Plasse went on to have a little bit of a career.
A little bit. And that movie was not supposed to be as big as it was. That was a random comedy that came out in the summer of 2008 that was just a filler, really. It wasn't supposed to be anything crazy. It was supposed to be a mindless comedy for the summertime, and it ended up becoming a classic. And it was so relatable. Like we were like, you could feel and remember yourself going to those kind of things in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And having those feelings.
We were just the right age. We were just the right age to still be able to appreciate it, because I remember what my older cousin, he's like 5 or 6 years older than me. He was like, I find the movie funny, but it doesn't hit with me as much because I'm just far enough out of that you know what I mean?
And some of the other generations had like Animal House or Porky's and all those other movies, and Superbad was ours.
Right.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been one since for this generation. But they don't deserve one anyway because they're whack. But
yeah. just the general plot of a high school party needing alcohol to try and hook up with a girl that you have a crush on. Like the most basic plot, but the funniest movie.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, you're up 1-2.
Dude, I don't like having this pick. This is a tough pick because there's so many different ways here. I'm gonna go Major League.
Ooh.
I honestly, it might have been 89, or I don't know if it was 90 or not, but Major League, dude. I mean, all these movies that I have that I'm sure that all of us are going to talk about are movies that we all can laugh at still consistently. That's one of those movies. It's a click and stick. When I find it on TV, I still watch it every day, every time. I watch it every opening day still, just to get me amped up for baseball season, and also just to get a good laugh, obviously. But that's such a quotable movie too. There's so many different parts of that movie that are quotable, especially for a baseball fan. You might run like Mays, but you hit like shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different awesome parts of that are just.
You trying to tell me Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Yeah, come on. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, great movie.
And even it's so and the unrealistic aspect of it makes it even better. Like there's so many like Jake Taylor going through, like, they just won the pennant and he goes into the crowd, full uniform, goes to his woman, like no one bothers him.
The second one?
No.
The second one, he's the manager. You're right.
Yeah.
The second one, he's the manager.
He goes to Rene Russo in the crowd. Everybody's like, all right, well, there he is. See you guys. Good job. No one does anything. He drives to a house member in the bullpen cart.
Yeah.
All kind of ridiculous stuff in that movie. It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. I got the bookends here. I might go a little, I don't want to say off the grid, but maybe a little bit of a reach, but two movies that really made me laugh. One that I actually just caught up on TV probably like 3 weeks ago. It reminded me how funny it was. I'm going to go The 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Oh.
Steve Carell is just a winner in my book. Like he is all-time funny. His reactions, fantastic in that movie because he's not supposed to be playing necessarily a funny role. He's just a 40-year-old man who, is a nerd. He has collectibles, and he's never had sex. And He goes to works in the electronics store with a bunch of characters. Another Seth Rogen cameo. Paul Rudd's in there. Jane Lynch is very intentionally funny in her passes at Steve Carell to get it going.
The Indian dudes.
Who?
The Indian guys.
The Indian dude and the black guy. The scene where they're arguing of the stereos all time.
Yeah, Kevin Hart.
Funny.
The Kevin Hart scene.
That's what I'm talking about. The Kevin Hart scene, actually, fantastic. Another Jonah Hill cameo in that movie as well. Just a ton of laugh out loud moments in the 40-Year-Old Virgin.
So that's one of the movies. That's one of the movies that I think was too long. That movie is over 2 hours long.
Dude, it's hilarious though, man.
It is long.
It's just too much for me. Like, they could have cut half an hour out of that movie easily.
Do you remember the scene where he thinks he's getting laid for the first time and he starts making balloon animals with the condoms on his hand?
Yeah.
It's like popping, and then he puts the magnum on. It goes all the way down his forearm.
Yeah, he's like bewildered by it.
Dude, that's a great. I'm embarrassed that I actually it escaped my mind when I was putting this list together. That's definitely a top 3 for me. That's a great.
So good. It's so good. All right, my second one, I'm going to go. This is more niche for me. I don't think it's probably on either of your list, but Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
It's a good one. I haven't seen that in a long time though.
When I was in like 2006-ish, I would watch that all the time. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on his name. The Neil Patrick Harris, fantastic cameo in that movie. When they're in the back and they're like, Doogie, we're going to get burgers. He's like, firm burgers.
That kind of set off the second part of his career.
Yeah, for sure. With the How I Met Your Mother role.
Yeah.
Just this.
I would say Cal Penn is or is it Kai Penn or Cal Penn?
Yeah,
Cal Penn.
He's a really smart dude. That guy, like he was a professor at Penn at one point, I believe.
Yeah, he's sharp. And then there's that one scene where they're jaywalking and the racist cop pulls him over and he's like, Kumar, what's that? 5 O's, 2 U's. And he's like, actually, it's KU. He's like, yeah, bullshit. Just a fantastic movie. Laugh out loud funny.
Yeah, no, that's a great one too. Man. All right, so I'm up now, right? We're going back around.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Dumb and Dumber.
It's a classic.
Dumb and Dumber there. Another movie that it's one of those movies that every time I watch it, I catch something subtle that I didn't see the first 100 times I've seen it. And it's always mind-boggling to me how Jeff Daniels is in that movie, because everything he really does is so serious. And like for him to have done that, to have been in that movie as was he? I'm trying to remember if he was he Harry or Lou? I forget. I always get them mixed up. Was Jim Carrey Harry, or no? Jim Carrey was Lloyd, right?
Jim Carrey was Lloyd Christmas.
Yeah. And Jeff Daniels was Harry.
Yeah.
For him to have played Harry is still mind-boggling to me, because like this guy, everything he does is like Academy Award-esque or Emmy-esque. And then he did this role. And then he did it for the sequel years later after he was established, and still did it again.
Did you know the story behind him getting cast?
Nah.
He like made no money from it. He something along the lines of like he wanted to be in the movie so bad, and like the director like didn't think he would do it, so they like just lowballed the shit out of him. But he wanted to be in it so bad that he took it, and like it was like $10,000. Like it was like so low, but he was like, I got to be in this movie. It's going to be hilarious, and he was right.
Yeah, I mean, and that kind of spawned the Farrelly brothers careers as well as directors for those comedies in the 90s and things like that too. That was like one of their starters.
Yeah.
Can I say something controversial?
You don't like it.
Jim Carrey won't be anywhere near any of my list. I don't get it. I don't get him at all. I don't think any of his movies are good.
Casey hates Jim Carrey.
And that's fine, but the movie is still funny. Like you might not like him.
I can't do it.
Oh man.
You can't do it.
You missed that one.
Yeah.
The other story guest is the Big Gulps. See those guys. Yeah. The Big Gulps. Yeah. You know, they were just two dudes. They weren't actors, extras, nothing. They were just out there.
I think I heard that they weren't even that they just like filmed it and they just like improv'd it.
They improv it. Jim Carrey walked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim Carrey walked out, did that on his own, and those guys were standing there and they just left it in the film.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love finding out stuff like that about movies, like the improv stuff or whatever, like the different like classic scenes that actually were improv and not in scripts or like if you ever look that up, it's I guess the most famous one would be like Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver, where that you talking to me, that was not in the script, and it's like one of the greatest scenes of all time. But no, man, I love that movie. It's such a feel good, funny, fun time.
Yeah. All right.
Al.
I got two. I'm gonna take one here. I don't think any of you guys would take it. Probably one of the most disappointing sequels to a movie when it finally came out. But I got Zoolander here.
Ooh, not what I was going.
I know what you think I was going to say, Seltzer. I got Zoolander here. I quote Zoolander like more than I think I do. I love when somebody asks something stupid. I say, but why male models? I do that all the time. And when someone's confused, I always say, the files are in the computer. I do that all the time. The Center for
probably get so confused by that.
Yeah, well, when people get it though, it's a nice little. I got
it. Yeah.
What is this? A Center for Ants? There's so many good, just like quick hitter lines, and I think that might have been one of Owen Wilson's first, like I think, like really just hilarious roles.
Yeah,
I've never seen it, but I'll have to give it a look.
Yeah, it might. I mean, it might not hit the same now as it did. You know what I mean? Obviously, when it was out, but I've seen. I keep that movie on all the time. Anytime it's on, I throw that on.
I feel like that's one of those movies that like you almost find yourself like understanding that it's so ridiculous and stupid, but it's also like that's what makes it good. It's like, this is so dumb, but I can't stop laughing at it.
Dude, every time that damn Hansel, he's so hot right now. It's so good, man. But guess, did you see the sequel of that movie?
No.
Dude, I blacked it out of memory. I remember it being so bad. I was absolutely disgusted by it. Like I was pissed off that they made it.
Well, I'm kind of like that with Ben Stiller, the Seltzer is with Jim Carrey. Like I don't. He's okay. I'm not saying he's like I wouldn't watch any of his stuff, but I don't think he's that funny either.
Well, guest, you're wrong, my friend, because I'm double dipping right now in the Ben Stiller.
You're going double Stiller?
I'm going double Stiller, and I'm taking heavyweights.
Yo, you know what? I said that clip earlier.
That's exactly right. You showed your hand because I thought I was going to get heavyweights at the end, and now I got to take it here.
You just won in Sarah's book because she kept telling me you better pick heavyweights on that list,
dude. Heavyweights.
I don't tell her what I'm going to pick.
Villain Stiller is so funny, dude. When Tony Perkis is an all-time movie villain. Lunch has been canceled due to lack of hustle. Deal with it. And then when he finds the friggin' deli meat in the corner of the kid's bed, oh, look at deli meat.
Step on the scale, son.
Step off the scale. Congratulations, you're the fattest kid at camp.
Talk about movies. That was like a Disney movie. That could never be on anymore.
Yeah. No, they could never have that now as for kids.
Nobody's seen more butts than you, Uncle Tony.
Shout out Goldberg.
Dude, that movie is hysterical. That's a great
movie. The Blob.
And what a concept, too. Fat camp. Like, could you imagine a fat camp in 2024? Like, that's the kind of thing that probably still happens in, like, the South. You know what I mean? If we just don't know about it.
It's probably just camp in the South.
How do you tell your kid you're sending them there? You're going to fat camp.
Yeah, you know what heavyweights was, honestly? It was like a revitalized PG version of Battle of the Nerds because they end up going against the athletic camp from across the lake at the end.
What was it called? Camp the Camp Hope was the one they were at, right?
Yeah. What was the camp across the lake?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Was it All Stars or something like that?
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember it was the Perkis system that the kids on. Great movie.
Then when he like breaks into that presentation, he does like all the backflips, cartwheel. Yeah, no, that's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I guess
we've gone too far without having Anchorman on in this draft. So I'm going to put Anchorman as my pick here. I think that one of my not only favorite comedies, one of my favorite movies. Period. Will Ferrell is. I mean, Will Ferrell's the kind of guy you just look at him and you just start laughing. Like
Was
the guy,
that
like
the movie you thought I was going to take, Seltzer?
No, it's not.
That sequel sucks too.
Yeah, it does. It's bad.
Yeah. But the first one is, I mean, it's comedy gold, man. And it's one of the first. It was one of the first movies that like had that like dry but like subtle humor to it, and it's like it still carries. I think even to this day, I think like there's still like I was like students at like I that will say that they watch that and they think it's hilarious still, and I'm like, first of all, you probably shouldn't be watching that at your age, but that's not my job to tell you that. But no, yeah, it's awesome. Love Will Ferrell.
Seltzer, what are your thoughts on Anchorman?
I feel about Ferrell. I think he's a little overrated, but I like that movie a lot. There's some Ferrell movies that I absolutely love, and there's some others that I really can't stand at all. Like I'm not a Talladega Nights guy. I'm not a what's the ice skating movie?
Yeah, I don't like the ice skating one either.
Yeah, there's a couple of really
Blades
bad
of Glory or whatever
Blades
it
of
was.
Glory.
Yeah.
What is it?
Blades of
Blades
Glory.
of Glory. Yeah, I'm not in on that. And some of his cameos I think are a little over the top, but Anchorman is fantastic.
He's also great in Zoolander. I glossed right over that. He's great as a villain in Zoolander.
Yeah.
The piano
And-
necktie.
And Seltzer, you had mentioned earlier about Steve Carell. Steve Carell steals the show in that movie.
Yeah, fantastic.
He absolutely
Rick's
does.
an idiot. Like, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd also is fantastic in Anchorman.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah, all of them. They're all. Like, they're just such a. The chemistry that they had as an ensemble was just perfect.
When the guy punched the dog over the bridge. I mean,
Oh yeah, Jack Black.
Jack Black. The
Yeah,
guy.
I forgot it was Jack Black. I haven't seen Anchorman in probably like 10 years.
It's so hot. Milk was a bad choice. I'll tell you this, guys. Anchorman was my favorite comedy of all time for a long time. I disagree. I think it's not aged very well.
Really?
I think when I watch it now, some of the lines feel very forced.
Really?
But I think that was the humor in it. That's why it was so funny.
That's subtle. Yeah,
I agree. I think I personally have just phased out of that humor. Like
I was going to say, do you think it's just that you phased out of like?
Yeah,
getting
I
that-
used to know that basically the entire script of the movie. I just recite it word for word. But I appreciate it. Now, Anchorman 2, as bad as it was, when you have time, go onto YouTube and watch the Anchorman 2 blooper reel, because you'll crack the hell up, dude. The blooper reel is hysterical. The movie sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've even seen the sequel.
I mean, I would recommend seeing it just to say at least that you saw it, to see for yourself. But it's not nearly as good as the first one.
No,
it's got a couple funny parts, I think, but nothing that's like worthy of like Nah,
it's not
Yes.
this
it's not really
category was
quotable or
trash.
anything like that.
But
No.
the Steve Carell, Kristen Wiig stuff is unbearable bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad. They shove it down your throat, and it's just not funny. I'm not a big hot take. I'm not a big Kristen Wiig guy. I think she's extremely overrated.
I go back and forth. It depends on the role she's doing. She's actually a really good actress. She's done some serious stuff and it's been really good. But as a comedic actress, there's sometimes where like I get it, and other times where I'm like you, Al. I agree. I don't. It doesn't hit for me.
I argue with
I'm not
Coach
a
about
huge
that a lot.
fan.
Yeah.
All right, let me go to my 2. I'm still not going to take the one that you thought I was going to take out with the bad sequel. But I'm going to go with one that I think fell a lot too far. Al, you mentioned you're a big Stiller guy. Chris is a big Will Ferrell guy. I'm a Vince Vaughn guy. And I'm going to go Wedding Crashers here.
That's a good pick here.
Listen, I mean, it kind of tied in, same era as 40-Year-Old Virgin in regards to where we were in our lives. But just Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn in that movie are just fantastic together. The chemistry's off the chain. Also, obviously, the Bradley Cooper steals the show, playing the football scene outside the house. You crab cakes in football. That's what Maryland does. The painting scene where he's tied up in the bed.
The painting was a gift, Todd.
Guest boy Christopher Walken.
Oh yeah, that's
as the father. And who is the actress? I'm drawing a blank. The actress who plays Vince Vaughn.
Oh well, it's
Isla Fisher, wasn't it?
Isla Fisher. Yes.
Rachel McAdams and Isla Fisher.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of Isla Fisher. Also, really well done in that movie is the Klinger type role.
Because I'll find you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is a movie that I mentioned Will Ferrell. Like, I don't think the Will Ferrell cameo doesn't hit for me as hard as it did for others. We're like, Ma, the meatballs. Is that what he
The
says?
meatloaf.
The meatballs.
The
Meatloaf. Fuck.
I don't know,
I
man.
like
That's
it,
pretty funny. Like,
It's
why are you? First of all, he's old as hell, living with his mom still, and then like the way he delivered that.
I
Yeah,
apologize for saying meatballs. That's a bad miss by me.
That was the perfect cameo at the time.
Yeah. I just but the rest of the movies, it's good from start to finish, and it's got a good story. And Vince Vaughn just cracks me up all the time.
Yeah. I'd like to be Pimps from Oakland or Cowboys from Arizona, but it's not Halloween. Grow up, Peter Pan, Count Chocula.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, that's a fantastic movie. That could have been a first round pick and probably should have been.
Yeah, it's fantastic. All right, next one I'm going to go a little bit niche, but a movie that's maybe not funny, but just a fantastic movie, and it's even though it's probably meant for teenage girls, it's loved by all. I'm going to go Mean Girls.
Oh, wait, is this a comedy?
Well, I think it's a comedy.
Yeah, I mean that's
what would you put it on?
It's got quotables that are people use for humor, so I'll go with it.
I have it in the category of teen movie. It's like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah,
I would have drafted that number one.
It's fantastic. If you want to call it teen movie, that's fine, but I think it's got enough comedy in it to make it a comedy.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's fair. It's fair. Yeah, I love Mean Girls, dude.
Yeah, anytime it's on the TV all the time. I'll flip it on, see what part it is. Lindsay Lohan's fantastic. My girl Gretchen Wiener's beautiful. Yeah. Just a really good movie.
Yeah, that's and don't get caught up going to see the sequel because it's not a sequel; it's a musical.
That's true. I didn't know. That's also not the one we were referencing.
Did you see that clip though? There's a clip of somebody who's like filming, like they're recording in the theater, and I guess the people didn't realize it was a musical. And as soon as Katie Heron starts singing the first song, there's an audible, "Oh, what the hell is this?"
Who's the most underrated funny character in that movie?
Kevin Napor.
Who's that? The gay guy?
No, the Indian mathlete that.
Oh no, that's not who I'm going with.
It is
easy. Tim Meadows, the principal.
Oh yeah, he's great. Why does he he has the broken wrist for no reason? The carpal tunnel.
No reason at all. He's good. And Amy Poehler, I think, is really good as Regina George's mom in that movie.
No, I'm a big fan of Emma Gerber as well, who Lindsay Lohan shouts out at the on the
yeah, she gives her a piece of the crown.
Yeah, she says your hair looks fantastic.
Our school is doing the high school is doing Mean Girls for their play this year. I guess they're doing. Yeah, I guess I think they made it like a musical for schools and stuff to do also, unless they're like ahead of their time, which I doubt. So it's probably just a new script that they have for it. But all right, I'm gonna go. I'm surprised that we've gone 10 movies now, and Seltzer, especially you, we have not had Adam Sandler in here. And I'm not the biggest Adam Sandler guy, but Wedding Singer is my like. I know people will say Happy Gilmore or Billy Madison, but dude, The Wedding Singer, bro. I never forget. Jonathan Denny and I snuck in at Andorra to see it. We got tickets for I forget what the hell it was because we were under 17 at the time, so we had to sneak in to get in there because I believe it was rated R. And place was packed. I laughed from start to finish. First time I saw
it. I think it's the best Sandler movie. I think it's the funniest.
Yeah, and it also hits strong with me because as a child, being born in the 80s and we grew up in the 90s, obviously, but still we were old enough that we can remember some of those like silly 80s, fashions and things like that. And I'm a big nostalgic person for the 80s. I always love the 80s anyway. So like that I love watching from that perspective as well. But the chemistry he has with Drew is always really good. And the Boy George dude, the wedding, the other singer in the band with him.
Yeah.
When he's saying, "You suck," we have to repeat the song because he has nothing else to do.
What year is that? Like 98, 97, 98?
I think it was like 98, 99.
Okay. So, and the thing about it was, like, again, in our life, we were 7th, 8th grade. and we had seen Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. So the hype going into that movie,
Right.
that led into it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, Wedding Singer. I remember seeing it in theaters as well, and it was fantastic.
When he snaps
Julia
on the at the wedding, when he does the mutants at table 9.
I've never seen that movie all the way through.
Really?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, never seen that movie all the way through.
I'm jealous.
I'll tell you the other Sandler movie. Actually, there's one other one that I think competes with that. Big Daddy's fantastic. I don't want to steal.
Great.
And the other one is more of a guilty pleasure of mine, more recent. Just Go With It. I love that movie. I don't know if you've seen that. That's probably like 2012-ish.
That's one with Jennifer Aniston?
Jennifer Aniston and Brooklyn Decker.
Yeah, I haven't really seen it. I think I've seen a few minutes of it. I didn't really watch it.
It cracks me up.
I saw what was the movie? Jack and Jill or whatever, something.
Oh yeah, that was
one.
My girl Katie Holmes was in that, but I thought it was funny. I thought there were some funny parts in it.
Really?
Yeah, I enjoyed it because I had no expectations. Like I had less than 0 expectations.
Yeah,
guys, we might not be able to post these lists because there are some movies that are just going to, quite frankly, get left off. That
I know. So I'm looking at. I know.
Dude, this draft could have gone 10 rounds.
I got 4 movies, and like the 2 that I should take, like the objective ones, I'm not taking either of them because when I sit and I think about these 4 movies, the ones that I watch and I laugh at out loud the most are the other 2. So with the first pick, I'm taking Scary Movie.
I got that was on my list.
I've only seen Scary Movie in theaters, and I don't remember any of it.
Oh my god, it's awesome.
Scary Movie, just for the Ray scenes alone. I crack up every time, dude. When they kill the guy in the beginning, and the one dude's like, Cindy, you know what they do to young boys in prison? All those sex-starved convicts? And Ray's like, yeah, hey, Cindy, he's right. Maybe we should call the police.
No, the end when he's like, you took me to go shop, or no, you took me to San Francisco. I went to go shopping.
You took me to the club.
Hey, all right, that's enough.
Yeah. Dude, when he's after the football practice, when he's chasing them all and he's whipping their butts with the tail. Dude, just his scenes alone, being like the closeted gay guy in the movie is just hilarious.
So sometimes when I'm feeding one of the babies if they wake up at night, I'll watch certain, like I watch Jamie Foxx show all the way through, and now I'm watching the Wayans brothers. Dude, they're both such underrated, awesome shit. Like those shows. You could have, like, when he made that joke on Scary Movie about the Wayans not getting a final episode is totally true. Like they totally deserve that.
Yeah. What's her name is so hot in it too.
Shannon Elizabeth?
No. in the Wayans Brothers show.
Oh, I thought you meant Scary Movie.
No. Mark Garcelle Bouvier or whatever the hell her name is. I can't.
On Jamie Foxx show.
Oh, that was Jamie Foxx. My bad. Yeah.
Oh, she's smoking. Yeah.
One more line that I got a quote from this is at the end of the movie when they catch the murderer and Cindy tells the cops, like, someone murdered all my friends, and her dad's like, yeah, and the sick bastard planted drugs all over the house.
We hit a boot. Where's the foot?
It's such a funny movie, man. All right, and then my last pick goes right along the lines of Scary Movie. It's because it's a spoof movie, not another teen movie.
It's the same genre you're in there.
It's the same genre, and I'm leaving some things off the list here, but that's just another movie that cracks me up. There's little subtle things in the movie that if you're watching it the first time you don't catch, and then you watch it a second and a third time you catch it. When the dad calls his daughter pumpkin tits, it cracks me up every time. There's one scene where just like in the background, it says like they're in the cafeteria and it says hot dogs for practicing oral sex, and it just like goes right by it. They're just little things, man, in that movie. I've seen that movie so many times. I think it's hilarious. Guess they have the obviously the scene where the token black guy goes to the party. What are you doing here? What do you mean I'm supposed to be the only black guy at this party? Damn, shit, I know, it's whack. And he hands him the cup. All right, here you go. It's a great movie, man. And dude, 2 movies again where they couldn't get away with any of this shit.
No.
Those movies could not be made today.
That's another one that I think we all saw it together in theaters, and I haven't seen it since. But I have to give it a look.
I'm going to watch it again. I haven't seen it in a while. I got to watch it again.
Yeah, it's one of those it's on very sparingly. Like you won't just flip TBS on and it's on.
No, yeah. I gotta. I'm sure it's on one of those streaming sites.
Yeah.
So this one I gotta stay true to myself. It probably won't be a popular pick, but I saw this movie for the first time when I was in second grade. I was homesick, and I watched it on VHS 12 straight times over the span of 2 days, and that was Sister Act.
I knew you were going to pick that. I knew you were going to pick that.
So that movie, I guess probably because of that event in my life, but every time I watch it, I feel like a kid again. Like it brings me back to being like 7 years old and just having no cares in the world and just having fun watching a movie.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's like Whoopi is like, dude, it's just a fun movie, man. And for Harvey Keitel to do that movie is like, you talk about like shocked that a guy would do a role. Like, I don't even know how he did it or why he did it or whatever, but like it worked. And they're supposed to be making a third one. I don't know. I go back and forth if I'm cool with that or not, because the second one was like okay, very polarizing. Sister Act 2.
Whoa, I was actually just thinking you have Sister Act 1 over Sister Act 2 back in the habit because I got Sister Act 2.
Yeah, see, very polarizing. I Sister Act 1 for me is better, but hey, my girlfriend Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Well, and Lauryn Hill.
Yep, Lauryn Hill, a young Ryan. What's his name from City High?
Yeah, your boy's gonna say that. Your boy from City High and Frank.
No, it's good. It's good, but the first one is iconic. Sarah got us tickets because she knows how much I love it. She got us tickets a few years ago to see it on Broadway, and it was really good on Broadway too. It's not the movie. Like The Lion King on Broadway is way better than the movie. Like if you see Lion King in person as a play, it's ridiculous. It's awesome.
Hot take on The Lion King. It's not that good. It's the soundtrack. The movie
I'm talking about the play itself.
Good. No, I know, but I'm just saying the movie. I think The Lion King as a movie is overrated. I just think the soundtrack is incredible.
Oh yeah, you have to agree to disagree on that one. But
the movie. All right, we won't get into it. We'll get into it.
We can have I smell a segment.
I got it under Coco. I'll tell you that, guess.
I used to hate when people would compare Lion King and Bambi because I'm like, Bambi is so inferior to Lion King.
That's not the same.
First of all, Bambi, who even has seen Bambi anymore? Like, no one even knows what Bambi is if you're under like 30, 35.
Do you guys know my tie to Bambi? Not Bambi. Bambi.
No idea what you're talking
about. I don't remember if you guys were in my house. I think I'm going to switch bedrooms, but up until like 8th or 9th grade, I used to have the middle room at my house, and my parents had this humongous like Bambi door poster that was like adhesive and stuck to the door, and they refused to take it off. So that was on my door until I was like 15 years old. So I switched.
I think I vaguely remember that.
It was brutally embarrassing, dude, and they refused to take it off because they didn't want to screw the door off.
That's so funny.
So what do you got?
All right, I'm going to wrap it up, but like there's a million comedies that I have on my list that I'm not going to take. And like you guys, my last pick's going to be one that kind of hits home. It's not going to be a popular one, but I mentioned there's some roles that I really like Will Ferrell in, and this one in particular, I love Kicking and Screaming. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
You've mentioned this movie before, and I was waiting for you to take it.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Mike Ditka cameo is completely random and fantastic, and he calls him the Juice Box Boy, and it just has me completely dying. Then you have the kid. Remember the show Even Stevens?
Yeah.
What's
his name?
The real ugly kid.
Yeah.
He's in it. He's funny. They got the little Asian kid. He cracks me up. It's fantastic. Anytime it's on TV, I'll put it on for a laugh.
When is it on though?
It used to be on TBS a lot, but it's not as much anymore. Have you seen it? You've never seen it?
No, I've seen it. I just haven't seen it in like 15 years.
Yeah, I mean it's not on very much anymore, but it was on. It used to be on a lot on like TBS TNT for a while.
Yeah, no, that's a good one though.
That's
a fun time.
Just because he turns into such a maniac.
Yeah,
he's so good in that role.
It's a classic Will Ferrell role.
I just wanted to also shout out a couple other ones that didn't make the list here.
There's a lot.
I can't be a brother on here and not put Friday or House Party.
I can't believe you didn't take Friday, guest.
Dude, I couldn't get it in there.
Violation, dude.
I couldn't get it in there. But it's definitely one of my favorite comedies. But House Party also, like the new one is not, but it's the original one from like back in like the 1990 or 91, whatever it was. Dude, Kid and Play was awesome.
Yeah,
like they were awesome. White Men Can't Jump. Always love that. Yeah.
I guess it is. Yeah.
And we didn't mention The Hangover.
Yeah, that was the one where I thought you said the sequel. Sequel's terrible.
Yeah, I never even watched the third one.
Yeah, I think similar to you mentioned. I don't remember which movie you mentioned earlier. Oh, Anchorman. I don't think it's aged great, but in the moment, if you hadn't seen Anchorman in theater or Hangover in theaters, you were behind. That movie was so popular, and it was really, really funny.
Hangover is one of the hardest I've ever laughed in a theater, but I agree. I don't think it's aged well, and I think a big part of it not aging well is Ken Jeong, because that dude was hilarious in the movie, but over the last 20 years, I'm so sick of him that when I see him pop up in the movie, I'm like, I cringe.
No, that was Seltzer, that was a great point. Like that was very like pop culture, like top of the top when it was out.
Mike Tyson.
You could argue that that's probably the greatest, as far as I mean, I don't even know if you can debate it financially, but one of the greatest, if not the greatest, comedic trilogy that there's ever been. I don't think there's anything that would even come close to it. At the bottom.
I never even saw the third one, and the second one was so bad.
Yeah, I would maybe go like again. The third one I've never actually seen, but another movie we didn't mention, Home Alone 1 and 2, that's a fantastic back-to-back.
I got those as Christmas movies, though.
Yeah, but you know what, Seltzer, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was very close to being that 5th round pick for me. Was Home Alone?
Home Alone's great.
No, so the movies that I laughed the hardest at, I didn't take because I also don't think they're comedies.
Borat's a comedy. That's
but it's weird because it's like it's not a scripted movie. He's like messing with people, and the Jackass movies I crack up at, but they're like it's not a movie.
Yeah, I don't get that stuff with the stunt things.
I don't laugh at every single thing. Like a lot of disgusting stuff, I don't laugh at. But there's usually like one or two in each movie that I just absolutely cannot stop laughing. Like
I'm not a Jackass guy either. I don't think the Jackass. But Borat I like.
I like the Impractical Joker stuff more than the Jackass stuff. Like I go watch that before I watch the physical stuff that they did, personally. And then Napoleon Dynamite.
Napoleon Dynamite guy.
You gotta be into that kind of humor. But again, just like Superbad, it was a movie that was, I think Nickelodeon actually produced it, and it was just supposed to be a random summer filler, and ended up becoming a cult classic. And another one that every time it's on, I watch it. But again, you've got to be into that kind of like silly, subtle humor. Now, as far as aging well, I don't know if that's aged that great, but like if a young crowd watched that now, I don't know how funny they would think it is. But in 2004, 2005, when that was hot, when we had movies like that and Anchorman and all those kind of movies coming out, like it was perfect for its time.
Yeah.
I'll list a bunch of really popular ones that we didn't even mention. Old School didn't get a mention.
Yeah. Huge omission.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall, I think is a little overrated, but very.
I like that a lot. I like that.
Yeah, that's a funny movie.
What else do I have on here? Dodgeball got no mention. Step Brothers didn't get mentioned.
Step Brothers is
Step
good.
Brothers was the other one. Yeah.
And then I had one more that I just thought of that I just blanked on. So you name some and I'll try to think of what it was.
All right, I got a list that we didn't name a lot, man. Super Troopers, I got on the list. Did you say Dodgeball just now?
I just mentioned Dodgeball.
Yeah, Dodgeball. Van Wilder. Knocked Up was the other one
Knocked
that
Up. Yeah.
I didn't think Knocked Up was that funny.
It's way too long. It's so long, man.
And they tried to make it a dramedy at the end.
Yeah, and Katherine Heigl's unbearable, dude. I Love you, man. I love
a good
you,
one
man.
too.
Bridesmaids. You got Bridesmaids.
2010s.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison both got mentioned but not drafted. Office Space, Half Baked, and American Pie.
American Pie, all of them are good.
Yeah.
That was the one I was thinking of that I blanked on. The American Pies.
Yeah, I'm not a big American Pie guy.
They're funny.
I respect, what they were at the time, but
that was one of those great, just like coming of age comedies, though.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And again, it was that generation. That was a big movie for our generation. And,
Stifler is an all-time 90s character.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That poor dude. He couldn't do anything else after that. Did you just watch Role Models? That was
I didn't like Role Models.
No, I didn't either.
Role Models was good.
You Ben Affleck.
Yeah. The little black kid was so funny.
What happened to him? He was awesome.
Yeah, he was good in that movie. Shout out McLovin, too.
He's showing his boobs everywhere, and he's like, look, even the hills in the back.
All right, so there you have it. Al, you want to run down? We'll run down our teams real quick, and then we'll sign off.
All right, my team is Superbad, Zoolander, Heavyweight, Scary Movie, and Not Another Teen Movie.
Chris?
Major League, Dumb and Dumber, Anchorman, Wedding Singer, and Sister Act.
All right, and I have 40-Year-Old Virgin, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, Wedding Crashers, Mean Girls, and Kicking and Screaming.
I'm going to be blunt here. I don't know who the objective winner of this is. I don't know who, you know what I mean? Like, if we asked 100 people, I don't know who would come out on top.
Well, that's why I said in the beginning, it's really no right or wrong with this kind of draft. Like, it's just you can't go wrong with any of them.
Yeah, they're all just fantastic movies.
Yeah.
The other one I want to bring up real quick, the first half of The Breakup with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston.
I never saw it.
Yeah, second half of the movie's like a romance. But the first half, when he's playing Madden with the guy, I guess you know the scene I'm talking about?
No, I don't think I've seen that.
The first half of that movie's can play in the same punching land as all these movies. I recommend watching at least the first half of it.
A couple movies that didn't make the cut because they were from the 2010s. Neighbors, the 21 and 22 Jump Street, both are freaking hysterical.
Yeah,
I just watched. They were both on TV a couple weeks ago. I watched them both.
Again, a young Brie Larson.
They are hilarious. Those movies.
Yeah.
There's one more I was thinking of. I just blanked on it, but yeah, those. And Bridesmaids. You mentioned Bridesmaids.
Yeah, Bridesmaids is really good. I even even though it's not in the same league, Bad Moms makes me laugh as well.
How about Project X? You guys
Project X is good.
I didn't really like it.
Really?
Yeah.
I like Project X.
I thought it was pretty funny. And then Good Boys. You guys see Good Boys a couple years ago with the kids?
Yeah, Good Boys was all right.
I didn't love Good Boys.
Really? Oh, I mean, I thought that was pretty funny.
I'd have to watch it again. I don't remember a ton of it.
The kid, what the heck's that kid's name? I'm going blank. He was in that movie he won an Oscar for that movie with Brie Larson.
I don't remember, but guess another one
Cantley.
of yours.
Cantley.
Guess one of your favorites that I don't think you mentioned. Bad Santa.
Bad Santa. Yeah, that's a good one.
Didn't make
that's
the
a
cut.
good one. Wouldn't make my cut, but it is a good movie. It's a fun movie. I'm on my lunch break.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, you saw that with Palumbo, Borner, and Graham Kington. All right, drop that beat. Drop that beat.